Wow. I got it wrong, Tim. That's the only way that I can possibly start this video, because for anyone that is coming to this to watch my review may well have seen my preview where I essentially said I couldn't see any way that England won this game. I looked at these two teams, I looked at how efficient and dominant Ireland had been, and even if England did some of the good stuff that we saw against Scotland, I hadn't seen enough from them to say they were going to beat Ireland today. Sometimes you just got to apologise, hold your hands up and say you got it so wrong. What a test match we witnessed.
Well, I said England were going to win by a point. No, I did not say that. No one said that. With a drop goal at the end. With a drop goal there. Nobody said that. This is the point. I think, well, actually, I mentioned to you before the game, the bookies had it that England had the same price as Italy at winning. As in Scotland and Ireland were 6-1 on.
Which is unbelievable when you consider England at home in a Six Nations game to be that heavily underdogs. I think tells you a lot of where we all, for the most part, perceived where these two teams were coming into the game. Look, the stadium is empty. I can tell you, I've just been in the press conference and coming on the way back up to the second tier here at Twickenham. The bars are packed, the fans are still loving it, and quite frankly, Tim, they deserve to, because for a number of years now, England fans have had to put up with not particularly great rugby, some really disappointing results, and this is the first time in a long, long time where Twickenham was bouncing, the crowd were engaged, and they had something to truly get behind.
Is that the best England performance since 2019 semi-final?
I was wondering this. I think it's without question the best result of the Steve Borthwick era, obviously. Best performance, I think you'd have to say that it probably is. The World Cup semi-final would come close because no one expected England to be as close to South Africa in that game, but that was a game where the conditions suited England. They had a very limited and specific game plan that they executed brilliantly, whereas here, their defence was good, the attacking stuff, we can get onto that. They did a lot of different things well, I think, in this game today.
I'll tell you what, before you get onto that, you should say, this is Alfred Reynolds Rugby, and I'm really chuffed to be joining Alfie on his video. Hopefully you'll do one on mine very soon.
Maybe that gives you quite a good indication of how good a game it was, and that it's like an hour or so after, and I've still completely forgotten all the admin around the channel. Welcome back, it's great to have your company. This is Tim from Egg Chasers Rugby. Do go and check out his channel, which has been flying over the past year. We'll do a video on there fairly shortly. If you're new here, do make sure you hit subscribe and like the video as well. But most importantly, all of you, comment down below, what did you make of this game? From an Irish fan's perspective, the disappointment, back-to-back Grand Slams, that's now off the table. From an England fan's perspective, do you think it's the best performance since the semi-final of the World Cup in 2019? I think a lot of different people will feel that way. Tim, from your perspective, you had a little bit of time now to digest what we've seen. What pleases you the most from an England point of view?
That they did not play robotically. Yeah. They played heads-up rugby. Their heads were on a swivel, and when it was on, they had a go. And it was I think you used the phrase during the game when we were having a chat. I was like, they're actually, when you're sat up here from this distance, you can see where the space on the field is. And there was a couple of times we said, look at all the space there. And suddenly, England, even from in their own half, were getting the ball as quickly as they could to that area. They clearly, it's a mindset as much as anything.
And it's so simple, but it's clearly not easy.
Yeah.
Is it? But it was, I think England were seeing what was on and playing what was on and being able to execute it. I think the first try was a really good example of that. Ireland kicked it to England early on, the Ollie Lawrence try. Furbank catches it, and I think me and you both said, move it, it's on. They did it, they got it through the hands, and they end up scoring in the corner.
The try on this,
the
Furbank try as well. They went one way, Slade took it one way, and they went to one coast, and then they came all the way back. We have not seen England do that in forever, and the number of times when, I think that Furbank try in particular, we would have seen England kick rather than return, and I think that was the selection. Freddie Steward's a fantastic player, but we have not seen England counter from kicks. We've got sucked into tactical kicking battles, and we actually ran the ball back, and I think that threw Ireland. They weren't quite sure what to do, and every kick, suddenly there was a lot more on it.
It was a fascinating tactical battle. I think it's going to be one of these videos that will end it, and I'm going to have so many different things that I wish we'd mentioned. I jotted down just a few things that I thought, particularly from an England point of view, we'll come on to Ireland in just a moment, but from an England point of view that I think was so important. And one of the biggest things for me is they had to win that game multiple times. Great opening half an hour where they had the lead, but Ireland still went in at half-time, leading the game. Ireland then get the James Lowe try early on in the half. England retake the lead, and then they get another try through James Lowe. England left points out there as well, the Elliot Daly kick, the George Ford missed kicks as well. It was a game that England had to go and win multiple times against a top team, and they had the composure and the accuracy to be able to do that. It's a long time since we've been able to say that.
It's a great point. It's a really great point. So we're in the way of the...
It's right, mate. If you need to go through, go ahead.
You go through. Just clearing up after all the fans. Not after me and Alfie, obviously. Yeah, no, that's a really great point. And I was excited today to watch Ireland as much as anything.
Yeah.
But I, with how much of a juggernaut, that's the word that's been used to describe this Irish team, England blew them off the park up front. That was such a dominant forward performance. They got on top in the scrum, they got on top in the line out. The physicality that George Martin, Ollie Chesson, Maro Itoje brought, Ellis Genge, Chandler Cunningham South off the bench, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And again, I wonder how much of that is personnel and how much of that is a mindset.
It's got to be partly mindset. We saw it in that World Cup semi-final that it's an England team that had the potential to do it. It was something actually Andy Farrell spoke about and Peter O'Mahony spoke about in their press conference, that of how well England played and the way in which they were able to disrupt the Irish ball. I think in particular in attack and the Irish attack, they made the breakdown messy. They were able to limit Ireland in a lot of ways that I think was absolutely crucial for how England got on in this game. You mentioned a name there. It's hard after a result like that to pick out individuals. But again, George Martin comes into hasn't played much rugby this year, comes back from injury and was just immense.
Yeah, and all the talk, and rightly so for his performances, has been about, as locks go, Joe McCarthy being a young lock. George Martin put him in his shadow today. He was just thunderous performance. Absolutely loved it. And we can't talk about individuals without mentioning Ben Earl. Did you hear what he said in his post-match interview?
No, go on.
So he was chatting. It was to the television. I've watched the interview on the internet, and he clearly made the point about the way that the media have spoken about this England team. He's like, apparently we're the worst England team ever. And so there was a slight snarl in just his eyes, and clearly that was an added bit of motivation for this team to go out and prove themselves.
I mean, look, it's fair enough, isn't it? And as I said at the top of the video, as someone that on his YouTube channel did a video where he couldn't see any way in which England won, I was probably a part of that and a part of that narrative. What I would say, and I think Jamie George actually spoke about this a little bit in the press conference, is he could understand the negativity perhaps that was towards this England team. Yes, we could see what they were trying to do, some of the positive steps, but we didn't feel like we'd seen too much of it so far. I've got no issue with the players using that as motivation. I also think some of the criticism has been fair as well.
Absolutely.
I just want to finish off on a few other points. This victory for England, it's now at least 3 wins in a Six Nations. It's been a while since we've been able to say that. It could end up being 4. We'll wait and see. Away trip to France next weekend. How important this victory to just ease the pressure. Everyone can breathe a sigh of relief now, can't they? Say, oh, finally.
I'm suddenly trying to work it out in my head. Had England got a bonus point, no, I mean, right decision to go for the drop goal with the penalty advantage in the bag, but could they have got a bonus point try and actually been in with contention of winning the championship next week?
Yeah, I mean, I think...
Oh, they're 4 points behind England, behind Ireland. So
5 behind Ireland, so in theory...
They're 4 behind Ireland now, so if Ireland win next week, they win anyway.
And the points difference is so massive that I'm not sure
it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Yes, yes, that is the answer to the question, yes.
But also, just on that as well, it is a result that blows this Six Nations wide open. Because again, I've been looking at this Six Nations, and again, I've said in a video on this channel that brilliant Six Nations, it always is. Unbelievable rugby tournament, narratives everywhere, but frankly, to me, it looked like Ireland were way better than everyone else, and the real interest was down below it rather than the title. Now, Ireland, you would expect, are probably still going to end up winning the title, but England are in with a chance, although, as we've just said, it's pretty unlikely. Scotland are in with a chance, but frankly, it's pretty unlikely. Italy, because of their win today, could, depending on other results, end up finishing second. All of a sudden, that table could shift around all over the place. This championship is just unbelievable year after year after year. And
it looked like it was turning into, like you say, quite a dull and very predictable one. But so today, the rugby today saved this championship as much as it will be not the Paddy's Day weekend that Ireland fans were hoping for. it has blown the tournament wide open, and what an amazing competition this is.
And just on that, on the final weekend, I don't think anyone in the Ireland setup are going to admit it. They're a team that go week by week, try and improve game on game. I get all that, and I believe them when they say that. I just wonder, when they have a private moment, how much they will look at the opportunity of back-to-back Grand Slams getting away from them, how disappointed they are, because it's never been done before in the history of the Six Nations. They're still an incredible team. The Six Nations they did last year, or the Grand Slam they did last year, is still one of the best Grand Slams we've ever seen. But that is a real missed opportunity, I feel.
Yeah, and I think it was great. I was having a conversation with a mate of mine, and he said, really, the ultimate slam is winning back-to-back slams, because then you beat every team home and away.
True.
And no one's ever won those 10 games. And well, we've just seen today just why, because any team can pull out a performance. We saw that in Rome, and we've seen that here in London. And like you say, the one thing that really heartens me, this is with it, as an England fan and as a rugby fan in general, to hear and feel this place bounce again. It's been a long time, and we've been here for some of those dark days, mate. We were here when England were booed off after Duhan van der Merwe scored that wonder try last year.
Yeah.
We were here for South Africa.
Were you here for Fiji?
I was not here for Fiji. You were here for Fiji?
I was here for Fiji when the top tier was virtually empty.
Yeah.
Complete, almost apathy. It's worse than anger, isn't it? When a fan base is apathetic towards their team, it's even worse. You're right, and I think we can get into all the technical stuff and what England are doing well in the attack and the defence. One of the most pleasing things today, from an English perspective, is Twickenham was genuinely bouncing. It gets a lot of flack in terms of the atmosphere, rightly so a lot of the time. It is very corporate, we know all that. It can also be an unbelievable place to come and watch rugby, and it was today. Yeah,
I haven't heard noise like that. And I would have said the same thing had England not pulled the victory through. And I think the England crowd would have gone away, and they'd still be filling up the bars and drinking and celebrating what was a fantastic game of rugby. It's just wonderful for those fans that have had such a rough time, which is where you started the video, that they're out there celebrating. So, that said, I will say the Irish fans are fantastic.
I mean, even when I was walking up to the ground today, the Ireland fans, doesn't matter where the game is, what they do, they travel. There were so many of them here today, and in fact the fans enjoyed it so much that it is, you probably won't be able to hear it, it's just a sticky mess. It's like a nightclub floor underneath us. Beer was being not quite chucked on us, but dropping all over the place. Tell you what, we'll leave it there. We'll do another video on Tim's channel, Egg Chasers Rugby. Go and check it out. So do comment down below. What do you make of the game? Any of the points we've touched upon? Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Tim, I'll leave you with this, because we are going to leave it. Really nice line from Andy Farrell, I thought, in his press conference, where he said, we've been good at winning. We have to make sure we're good at losing as well. They haven't done too much of that.
Love that man.
That's the mentality of this Irish team.
Love that man. He's such a great ambassador for the sport. He really is fantastic. And yeah, that's going to be a really interesting week. And the Ireland team that runs out and the performance they put in next week, that'll be really interesting to watch.
Absolutely fascinating. Appreciate you watching as always. See you in the next one. Nice one, mate.